Hello, Internet. It's Jen T. Grace here, founder of Publish Your Purpose Press. And I'm here for day number 25, tip number 25 of our 30-day book marketing challenge. So as we've been talking about for the last 25 days, the book marketing challenge is to double your book sales from the last 30 days to this challenge 30 days in which you were doing this. So today's tip is an easier one. It's going to take some effort, but it's an easier tip and should be shorter. So today's tip, number 25, is to apply for book awards. Now, I think that this is one of those underrated marketing tactics that a lot of people just don't even think about. So when we think about just different ways to market, yesterday I was talking to you about different PR approaches that you can take in terms of just getting exposure for your book, your business, your brand, whatever it is that you're doing. Now, when we apply for book awards, it does the same thing as PR. If you are accepted for a book award, the public relations opportunities are almost endless because you can take the emblem or what the award itself looks like. You can put that on your website. You can add it into your email signature. You can put out your own press release. And I know when I even say the word press release, you're probably rolling your eyes thinking, who does press releases anymore? I agree. However, press releases are good for bringing traffic to your website, and there's a lot of different press release companies that you can pay like $100 and they'll submit to 100 different places. So it's just good for search engines. It's good for linking back to your website. All of these things are helpful on a broader level. I'm not saying that if you put out a press release, you're going to get business from it, but there's definitely a kind of rising tide floats all boats in terms of just the SEO component of putting out a press release. And so getting a book award is a legitimate good reason to put out some content around it. And it doesn't have to be a press release. It could be that you do some video like this where you just hop on and say, oh my God, I'm so excited that my book was just accepted for the blah, blah, blah award. Because what that does is it is validating your work. And book awards are not something that you can just submit for and get. So that's something to be really mindful of, is that book awards are very, very competitive. And so there's a lot of different governing bodies that you can submit your book awards to. There are some that, there's 100,000 books that are submitted to them. So the chances of yours getting accepted are probably, they're 1 in 100,000. So that's a very low percentage. But there are other book awards that are by different types of governing bodies or different types of associations or organizations. And maybe they have a different kind of focus to them or a different lens to them. Or maybe they're like a super small nonprofit that decides to award a different book that they enjoy and they want to share with people. So I share all of these things because this is a great marketing opportunity that you can leverage in so many different ways. The key is just finding the book awards that are applicable to what you're writing about. So if you are writing about leadership, go search for book awards for leadership. If you are writing a memoir, go search for book awards related to memoir. If you're doing something around LGBTQ issues, go find the governing bodies that have anything to do with LGBTQ related books and figure out what awards there are. Additionally, you can kind of look at what your competition has done and see, have they been recognized by any other organization and have they been awarded anything? And if so, go down that rabbit hole and try to find who that organization is, what their standards are, et cetera, for submitting. Now, I say this, the one thing to pay very close attention to are the submission details. So when it comes to book awards, there are time limits in which you have to submit your book for an award. And oftentimes doing a second edition does not count. So if your book came out in 2016, for example, there's a very high likelihood that there are not going to be any awards that you can submit for. Although, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. This is just based on what I have seen in my experience. But typically they have to be out within the last 12 months. Sometimes I've seen them extend to the last 2 years, but usually beyond that, they're not being accepted. So I would look, because there are book awards for content, there are book awards for design, there's book awards for category. So there's a million different ways that you can slice this. So I just recommend just keeping an eye out. You might even want to set a Google alert if you can find an award that you think would make sense for you. Because what this does is that you're then able to say, I am an award-winning author of and enter your book there. So I know a number of people. I know someone in particular who's an award-winning children's author. And when I first met her, that's how she led with what she was saying I am an award-winning children's book author. And so anytime I think of her and anytime I introduce her to somebody, I immediately am thinking she's an award-winning author, because that's how she first introduced herself to me. And so if you get an award in 2020, you can call yourself award-winning until you die. Like it's truly like, once you've won that award, you are now an award-winning author. And that carries a lot of weight for your potential readers. And it can be more important in different genres than others. But generally speaking, just being able to say you're award-winning and someone else next to you might not be able to say that, that's a pretty big deal. So that is today's tip. Nothing too complex. What I will do for you, I debated whether or not I would do this, but I will, on the publisherpurposepress.com/marketing website, the page where all of these tips are housed, I will put a link to a list of awards that I know of. So at PYP, we keep track of awards because as a publisher, different governing bodies will send us details saying like, hey, do you have any authors that should submit for this award? And then we compile that into a spreadsheet. So I was on the fence whether or not I would give you that spreadsheet, but I will. So if you go to publisherpurposepress.com/marketing and then look under tip 25, the link to those current awards that we are aware of, you can absolutely go check it out. But that is not, I will tell you right now, it is not a complete list in any way, shape, or form. It's probably maybe a dozen. So there's hundreds of them out there. There's tons of them. So what I would advise you to do is spend a few minutes, maybe even just set yourself a timer for like 30 minutes and just go down the rabbit hole of trying to find awards that might make sense for your book. And just remember, really needs to be something that was launched within the last 12, maybe 24 months if you're lucky. So pay attention to the submission details because they do not mess around. They will immediately reject your submission if your book is older than a certain point. So that's today's tip, short and sweet. And so as always, a couple of reminders, our book mastermind, our book marketing mastermind will be starting in just a couple of weeks. If you are interested in applying, please go to the publisherpurposepress.com/marketing page. You will see the button to apply in just big old, you can't miss it, essentially. And there's also a link below this video. And then the office hours are continuing for a little bit longer at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays. So please go to the PYP website if you're looking for an updated office hours. If you're watching this in the future, I will continue to do office hours well beyond this challenge. They're probably just going to be at different intervals and different times of day, and they'll probably vary from time to time. So I share that with you as well. And then our WhatsApp accountability group. So if you are not yet in it, please consider joining. Every time I do a video, there are more people in it. And so it's really just a place for you to connect with other like-minded authors who are trying to either finish writing their books or figure out how to market them better. So please join the community. It's a growing community of amazing people. So that is today's tip. I will be back tomorrow for tip number 26. As I continue to keep saying, there are, I have 26 through 30 to go. So if there's something that you want me to address for you, please do not hesitate to reach out. I have a couple of spots left of tips that I don't yet have planned. So please let me know what you're looking for, and I will happily just